So I was scrolling YouTube as I would usually do late into the day, and I came across a video with very little views on my feed called "Streaming to Zero Viewers is Mentally Exhausting." And naturally, as a content creator, I clicked this video. And my first thought is that I don't agree with the title. I don't think streaming to zero viewers is mentally exhausting, but I was willing to hear him out. And as I'm watching the video, I'm hearing him out, but there's one thing that made me click off of this video. It made me go check his other socials.
Myself. People always say like, just keep streaming or post on a platform, which I do. I post on YouTube, TikTok, YouTube Shorts, and Insta. And
when I heard that, I was like, okay, this guy obviously must be hardcore grinding and not just seeing any of the success that he wanted. So I did what any other, normally sane person would do, and I checked all of his other socials. First of all, I checked his TikTok, right? Obviously, I'm looking, there's not that many videos on here. And his YouTube video was uploaded on January 31st, 2026. If I just scroll through these videos, we can just look at the dates and, when they were uploaded. His most recent TikTok was also uploaded on the same day as his YouTube video, and it is just his entire video, which is actually, you know what? Sure, fine. I scroll down. Last clip before that, October, 4 months ago. All of the rest of these clips are in October. So at the end of the day, this guy isn't, very consistent. He's not really posting on TikTok. Let's check his YouTube. I check his YouTube. I see his videos and I looked through his videos, 2 months ago, 1 month ago. Okay, he's uploading, a decent amount for, the first video being 2 months ago. But then I noticed something. I saw this thumbnail, and this isn't a video about me calling out this guy specifically, but I swear this all just ties into my main point. I look at this thumbnail. I Google image search it. I see a couple of results with the same thumbnail. Specifically this one though. And it's also from the same guy, just a different YouTube channel. So I'm like, oh, maybe he just uploads more and I don't know, right? Maybe he really is grinding. I go on here. It is the exact same videos as his other channel, just re-uploaded. But you sit here and you complain about your viewer count and that your videos aren't doing well. You haven't even made that many. And not only that, I don't know why I can't find it with the Google reverse search now. But when I first saw this and I first reverse image searched it, there was actually a 3-year-old video with the exact same thumbnail. So the thumbnail isn't even his. He just stole it. So, I mean, yeah, that's beautiful, truly. Unfortunately, the rabbit hole doesn't even stop there. It actually gets so much funnier. So I go to his Twitch tracker and it says he last streamed 9 months ago, which I know isn't true because on Twitch's website, it says he streamed last month. So that I will disregard. But the few streams he does have a little bit of oddities, as you can tell. He has 2 streams where he has over 100 viewers. And he does have 1,000 followers on Twitch. Now, he has a 7-minute stream where somehow within this 7-minute stream, he came up with 100 viewers. Ideally, this is possible through Twitch Raid or, something like that. But if you actually go to the streams page here and you click on this stream specifically, no, what happened to like the core chart that I had up before? Oh, here it is. So if you look at this chart of the 3-hour stream, I'm guessing the 7-minute one doesn't have enough, data, to actually make one of these visualizations here. But this guy sparks stream and streams for an hour, with 5 viewers. Sure. Maybe best case scenario, this is a raid, right? Best case scenario for this guy, it's a raid. A raid does not give you a solid viewership. It just immediately tanks. Like, no matter what, no matter who you are, you're going to lose like 50% of the viewership from the raid, like just almost instantly. This guy kept exactly 100 to 110 viewers for almost an hour straight. Then all of a sudden it dips down and then stays at 60 and then the stream ends. I'm sorry, but if I'm being honest, I think this is botted, gang. First off, I want to talk about the whole streaming to zero viewers thing. And maybe this is just because I made YouTube videos before I really got into the idea of like streaming consistently. But streaming to zero viewers is only really exhausting if you have no plan. Like if you need the chat to bounce off of like creatively, then you are going to feel bad when you stream to nobody. And I'll be fair. Let's just assume this guy is just like a newer streamer and he really loves the idea of having a chat. Because, that is just the cool part of streaming. That's the best part. I understand that. But you have to really go into it with this mindset that you are not entitled to have chatters. You aren't even entitled to having viewers in general. But the thing is, you have to go into it with the idea that you aren't entitled to have chatters. You aren't even entitled to have viewers that lurk. It seems like a lot of these small content creators don't actually have the idea of starting from zero in their head. Like when I started making YouTube videos, I wasn't mad that I didn't have thousands of views instantly on my first video. That was just expected. Like the videos just weren't good, and I knew this at the time, so I was happy with the few hundred that I was getting. And having bad content is something I kind of want to talk about because small streamers, a lot of them simply just suck and they don't really even know that they suck. And there is a decent amount of them that wouldn't even listen to you if they told you that. And a lot of them probably wouldn't even listen to you if you told them that. So I'm actually going to do a simple exercise to prove this. I'm going to load up Twitch, scroll down somewhere in a random category and, find a small streamer that looks like they are, trying hard. I'll go actually into my favorite category for this because I feel like it's always kind of the same thing. And I want to say, if I click your channel and, I call you out, don't take it personal. Like, just to be honest, gang. Perfect. This guy says 1,767 days of streaming straight. They have a follower goal, a subscriber goal, and a just donation goal here. Let's see. They have a banner. Okay, they have a factor. Not sponsorship, but partnership here. Okay, they have some socials. I'll check the socials. Okay, don't post on YouTube. That's, valid. Sure. Let's see what they're talking about. I mean, obviously, he's just going to be calming the game, right? Because it's a competitive game, so it's kind of hard to, chat about anything random and, kind of play the game at the same time. And that's something a lot of people will tell you, just don't play competitive games if you're trying to be a streamer. But, you can choose whether or not to listen to them. Let's see, Instagram. Maybe he has Instagram Reels up. Nope. Personal Instagram. Twitter. Let's see, Twitter motion? It's possible. Regular Twitter. But I'm not seeing a TikTok. I'm not seeing any other way to actually get viewers to your Twitch. That's the main problem here. Solely relying off of somebody like me to come on the Valorant category, scroll down to the 0 viewers people, and pick you randomly is a terrible, terrible idea. This is the worst possible way of discovery. Honestly, what I just found was genuinely just expected. There is a lot of silence in the guys who play like competitive games. They don't really have too much to talk about besides the game itself. There's no real direction in the streams. There's no segments or things like that. The IRL guys especially, I feel like struggle with that a lot. Not exactly planning it out. And something that's actually kind of gotten popular recently is just going around disturbing civilians, which I don't really understand. That's not really good content. I feel like another big problem that people have is like they don't really talk like that unless someone chats, which is very unhealthy because you're really not going to know how to stream if you cannot talk without bouncing off of your chat. Also, there are a lot of times where people will pop into your chat or pop into your stream, not say anything, just kind of feel the vibe out. And if you say something that they want to respond to, then they'll type. But if you're like saying nothing, a lot of the times they'll just leave. Like as a viewer, if I'm the only person, chatting or in your chat, and you either don't respond to my message or you're just not saying anything, so I have to like start the conversation for you, I'm gonna be honest, as a viewer, I'm leaving immediately. And I feel like small content creators suffer from this problem where like they live in this bubble and they go and just find like-minded creators and they don't really understand that they are not doing nearly as much as they think they are. And I feel like one of the best pieces of advice for content and really can be applied to anything is that if you are not willing to put in as much work or more work than the guys who are already on the top, then you are probably not cut out to do whatever that is that you want to do. Because let's be honest, any of like the top streamers, like the really tippity top guys that a lot of people look up to, they could spark stream tomorrow just doing almost nothing and still have, 5 to 10,000 viewers. Like Speed does not have to go to Africa and, do all this crazy stuff around the world to get viewers. He could go live in his mom's house right now at his old setup and just sit there and play games and he will still probably have 20 to 30K. Yo, can I stop stuttering today? I'm about to lose it, dog. And yeah, I understand that it's very easy to just kind of sit here and be like, oh, but they're getting, hundreds of thousands of dollars a month for doing this. But it's like at the end of the day, for your life to change, you have to change your own life. That's the conclusion that I've come to anyway, because anytime I see someone complaining about like low views or that they're, shadow banned and they're around my size as a creator, I like to kind of deep dive into their content before, forming an opinion on this person. And I'll be honest, over 70% of the time, the content is just not creative at all. The quality's low or something is just very heavily missing. As humans, we just have the innate ability to recognize effort. Like, even if you fail at what you're doing, I will be able to recognize your effort. But the opposite is also true. If you don't try and you kind of just like copy somebody or whatever you did, you didn't really care about, I will be able to tell, and I'm not going to like it purely based off the fact that you don't really care about it in the first place. Imagine you're scrolling YouTube and you see a video about something you never really cared about, you know, something that you never looked into, something you may not even completely understand, but the video title and the video thumbnail is just so like unique, or it just looks really well packaged. You're still going to click that video even if you might not necessarily care about the topic at hand, but you did have the ability to recognize the effort that went into this video. So at the end of the day, you're going to find it kind of interesting and you're going to want to stick around to see what it's about. However, I feel like there's a big takeaway in this, because the things that I would criticize about their content could be like easily fixable, and I would be completely fine if they were just actively improving or actively learning and fixing their content over time. Instead, you find them just complaining for months on end rather than actually looking at their own content from like a viewer's perspective, or, you know, getting feedback from the people around them. Instead, they would rather blame the algorithm, you know, blame a shadow ban, or, you know, blame anything besides themselves. And honestly, if you can't really get feedback because you aren't getting views or you don't like telling people about your content, then you can just use your analytics. And that will almost tell you everything you need to know in the first place. Retention, click-through rate, impressions. Those three will basically tell you the entire story about your video's performance. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is consistency. Consistency, I feel like, is just preached as this end-all be-all of content creation, or that success will just be guaranteed to you. And that actually could be true for a lot of people. If that is genuinely the last step for you, you know, you figured everything else out and you just don't post enough. And when you do post, it does really good. Okay, then yeah, you have a consistency problem. But unfortunately, that's not what people are usually talking about when they bring this idea up. The problem is that a lot of people think consistency just means posting every day. And I think that advice is just either completely wrong or misplaced. And I kind of know this because I've already tried it. Like, I was making content on my worst days, just forcing myself to do it. And at the time, it felt like you're just being really productive. But what I really didn't understand was that I was kind of burning myself out slowly. I was posting almost every day on TikTok and it was genuinely working. Then I just ended up stopping for weeks, because a few bad days can turn into just a few bad weeks instantly. In that time, I didn't feel like streaming. But if I'm not streaming, I can't get clips out. I didn't feel like recording because my energy would feel off. Now you just end up stuck with no content and you basically have to restart from ground zero. What I should have done, and what would have counted as still being consistent, was space my content out and schedule the releases over time. That way, even if something came up or I had a day where my energy was kind of off, I wouldn't just fall that far behind by throwing all my content out for really no gain. I think a great example of a YouTube channel that does this is Golf Cart Media. Now, Golf Cart is like a commentary journalism type channel that, you know, they pick a topic or a person and they kind of just dive into it. Before they even started uploading, they had all of the boxes checked that they needed before uploading once a month, which does count as consistency. They had what they wanted to do with branding. They had how their videos would look, how their videos would sound, how the way their entire channel would be based. And within 15 videos uploaded, they got 10 million views. And even if you don't know or care about the people or topics that they cover, you will always know a few things about Golf Cart's videos. 1, they're high quality. 2, you know that everything in the video will just be factually correct. At least, you know, as correct as they can get. And 3, there is a very low % chance that you will not be satisfied by watching the video. Now, I know I've mainly been talking about YouTubers and TikTok creators, but this applies heavily to streamers too. And I'll preface this by saying I don't think streaming itself is hard. Like, streaming alone without editing clips or making videos from it doesn't really require that much effort. But I feel like a lot of people have got this idea that time spent live equals effort, and that is just not true. I can do a higher energy, planned, segment-driven stream that's just 2 hours long and get more out of it and put more effort into it than someone who has just streamed for 5 hours straight playing Call of Duty. And that's no shade at Call of Duty players. That game is actually mad hard nowadays. And around then was the time that I realized streaming was actually a skill. Personally, I don't have that much time to stream because I cannot sit down consistently for too long because, I have a dog and, work or whatever else. But when I first started streaming, I thought that I really just needed to keep going live to learn. And that is true, but it's only true to a certain point, because a lot of the comfortability and like effort in streaming actually comes from what you do before you ever even go live. Like, do you have videos you want to react to, topics you want to cover, specific games you want to play, or just a specific goal for the stream in general? If you were to actually prepare properly, then the lack of viewers and lack of chat will not affect you nearly as much. But if you are too lazy to do that, when you go live, you're going to just sit there and play the same game. You're going to get off stream and complain about the viewership. You're going to stream 8 hours straight, barely talk until someone chats. And then that person's going to leave. And then you're going to feel trash about that. And instead of thinking like, oh, I feel good about this stream, I hope someone, joins and gets to experience it live, you're thinking, I hope someone shows up so I can feel good inside. At that point, your laziness has practically turned into selfishness, because you are not understanding that anyone watching you is investing their actual time into you. And if they're investing and they're getting nothing back, then they have no other reason to stay. Holy, how long is this script? Who wrote this? Come on, dog. And when you actually understand this, you will start focusing less on how many viewers you have, and you will start focusing more on maximizing the viewer experience for the people that actually do show up to watch you. And listen, I only make this video because I understand, and I've also just been there. I call myself lazy about content creation all the time. It's something I'm trying to figure out, and it's something I've been trying to fix. But I can really only make this video because I don't deny that. I don't deny trying to say, that I'm not trying as hard as I could be. I'm aware of that. And also just wanted to say, like, not everyone who is lazy is bad at what they do. Because a lot of the time, it can also come from complacence. Like, when you do a really successful video or a really successful TikTok, or you get like a really good stream, and you kind of just ride that high for, like a week or two, and then you're sitting here like, dang, I need that, but I don't want to do the work to get back to that. Now, that said, I do think if you are complaining about your results when you haven't really even explored or understood the process itself yet, then you should stop and step back and probably reevaluate what you were doing. Thanks for watching. Follow my Twitch, sub, like. I'll catch you in the next one. I said I should be good. Was I spitting in that video? I was trying to give people advice. Was I too mean? No?